Students, we're going to go over our last theorem to prove triangles are congruent. So once again, the theorems that we've gone over is we've gone over side, angle, side, two sides, and the angle between those two sides, angle, side, angle, two angles, and the side in between those. We've gone over if all the sides are congruent, then the triangles are congruent. And then we went over angle, angle, side, saying two angles and the not included side. Again, I just want to emphasize, if I have two triangles, we'll make those a little bigger. Okay, the difference between these two. So if I'm looking at angle, 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 side, angle. If I have this angle, the side in between it, angle, and our sides in between it, versus if I have two triangles and we have these two angles congruent, and if I have this side, so as long as the side's not in between those two angles, then we have angle, angle, side. What we're going to go into is our last theorem, the hypotenuse leg theorem. Now, one thing to point out is, okay, so this is the hypotenuse. Okay, remember, in order for us to have a hypotenuse, we have to have a right triangle. Okay, and our hypotenuse is opposite the right triangle. So just like these ones over here, we had side angle, side angle, we needed three things. So too do we need three things. So the three things that we need, okay, for this theorem, for the HL theorem, is we need to know that we have a right angle. So I need to know that I have a 90-degree angle in there. I need to know that the hypotenuse is congruent. That would be the longest side, and then one leg. So one of the other sides is congruent. As long as I have that, then we would have the hypotenuse leg theorem. Our theorems would stay the same. Okay, so if I come through here, it says given angle P and angle R are right angles. So I'm given this right here. That is a right angle. So when I come through here and I want to prove that, use the hypotenuse leg theorem, okay, my first statement is angle P and angle R are right angles. How do I know they're right angles? Because that's what's given to me. So if I look at it, first check mark, okay? So if you're going to we need right angles. Now we're check that off, okay? Next, I need to know that the hypotenuse is congruent. There we go, hypotenuse. Okay, the hypotenuse, if I looked at these two triangles and I were to kind of separate them, okay, the hypotenuse is my longest side, so it would be the side that is opposite my right angle. So we're looking at that side and that side. Okay, so we're looking at this right here would be my hypotenuse, the side opposite. Okay, so are my hypotenuses equal to one another? And in this case, this right here, this line is our hypotenuse. And so yes, they would be congruent, and I would say SQ is congruent to SQ. Why? Because they are the reflexive, or because of the reflexive property. Oops, get rid of that. Reflexive, okay, property. Then the last thing is we need to know a leg. So do I know another side is congruent? So I need to know either this side and this side are congruent or the other ones. And we know that PS is congruent to QR. And how do we know that? Because it is given to us. So what I want to prove, this statement right here will be my last one. Triangle PQS is congruent to triangle RSQ, and this would be by the HL theorem. A hypotenuse leg theorem, because we had a right angle, we had the hypotenuse, and we had a leg congruent. Okay, I'm going to go through one more of these proofs, and then you'll do this last one on your own as you look through it. Okay, so if we look at it, it says, okay, angle J and angle R are right angles. So I always start with that. Okay, so I know angle J and angle L are right angles. all right, because that is given to us. Then I know, okay, K is the midpoint. Midpoint means it's in the middle. So if it's in the middle of JL and MN, so it's in the middle of this line right here, and it's also in the middle of this line here. So if it's in the middle of that line, I know that side and that side are congruent. And I also know that this side is congruent to this side because it's in the middle. So I always go, okay, I got my right angle, now I go to my hypotenuse. So my hypotenuse would be the one that's opposite this angle here, opposite that angle. So we're saying NK is congruent to MK, all right? And the reason why we know that is because K is the midpoint. So we'd say definition of midpoint. So then we also know that JK is congruent to LK. Again, it'd be the same thing, definition of midpoint. So then the last thing is my statement here. Triangle JKN is congruent to triangle LKM. How do we know that? Because of our HL theorem. Now, for this last one, I would just point, guys, sometimes it's easier if you separate these two triangles. Okay, so this would be triangle ADB, and then you kind of separate and you look at this triangle over here. If I were to separate it like this, you're looking at triangle. Now it's not to scale, you know, can't move it over, but I'll draw this one a little better. Okay, so we kind of have it like this. So this would be triangle, if I look at it, B, A, C. And then it goes through. It says that these CAB, that's my right angle. D, BA, D to B to A, that's right angles. Okay, and then it says this is congruent. You go from there. Okay, so just point that out to you guys, and you'll go through and write that proof just like I did in the two above it. So just take your time, go through them. Remember, we need three things. We need a right angle.